Ken Paxton, welcome to the program.
Great to be back, Glenn. Hope you're doing well.
Same. By the way, how are the polls going for you? How's the race you're running against Cornyn?
Well, it's going well. I mean, the numbers, every poll I've seen, even polls I haven't done, have me way up. My own polls have me up 25 points. And I just continue to do the same job I've done over the last 11 years. And he's obviously changed his focus from being what he was to being a all-in Trump guy for the last few months. It's a miracle. He's a converted guy.
I know. Okay, so Ken, let's talk a little bit about gerrymandering and what is happening here in the state of Texas. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead and ask the question. I should wait at least for the question.
Yeah, the Democrats don't like the fact that the Republicans are going to do some gerrymandering here, which is done everywhere else. So they have left the state. This is the third time they've done it. So what is their plan? What should happen? And what are you, as the Attorney General and the governor, going to do about it?
First of all, it's pretty ironic that they're going to Illinois, New York, and Massachusetts, three of the most liberal states, and some of the most gerrymandered states in the country. I think Illinois might be the most gerrymandered. If you look at Illinois and how it's drawn, I think 82% of the members of Congress are Democrats, whereas 48% of the population votes Republican. So it doesn't match up even closely. So they leave Texas with the Democrats, the 51. Some of them go to Chicago, to a state that is completely gerrymandered. So it's really hypocritical in my view, what they're doing, as you've already mentioned in the prelude to talking to me. So the goal here is, I honestly would have locked them up when they were in the House. Texas House Speaker could have shut the doors and kept everybody in. We've done that. We did that back in 2003. And once the doors are locked, you can't get out. And you spend the night there and you vote. And they could have done that. They did not do that. So they let the cat out of the bag. The cat's gone. So now you either arrest them, which you're not going to get help from jurisdictions like Illinois, Boston. You're not going to get help, Massachusetts, or New York. So arresting them is not likely scenario until they come back. What has happened in the past is our governors have waited them out because ultimately many of them have to come back. They have jobs, they have families. They're not going to live in Illinois. It gets cold up there. New York's cold, Boston's cold. So they come back and we vote. And every time we've ultimately been successful. Another option we're looking at, as a matter of fact, when I get off this call, I'm meeting with a bunch of my lawyers to talk about this quo warranto, which is a possibility that we looked into a couple of years ago. We suggested it might be a way to take existing members out of their positions if they fail to show up to perform their duties.
Now, you take them out of the positions, but then there has to be a special election. So you can't go right to vote, right?
Yeah, no, because that changes the quorum. I think it'll change the quorum. So you have less members, your quorum numbers change. So Abbott could also appoint, and at least until there's a special election, some of these might be appointed positions as well for a period of time. So there's possibility. It's definitely not a fast process, although we're trying to figure out a way to fast track it so that we can get an answer sooner rather than later. Otherwise, it's just a waiting game. Either way, in the end, we know how this is going to turn out because Governor Abbott is not going to back down, and he'll just keep calling them back until they show up.
This is a nuclear weapon that they launched, and all you're going to hear from the media is if you launch back, they're going to just say that you're using a nuclear weapon, you're destroying the republic, et cetera, et cetera. But they're the ones that launched the nuclear strike. You don't do that. And this is the third time they've tried this, and it doesn't work.
Well, what's interesting, Glenn, is, I was in Texas House starting in 2003, served 10 years in the House, 2 years in the Senate. I've been AG for 11. The only thing they've ever left on, it's not abortion, it's not, welfare. It's it's always this. This is what they care about. They care about controlling Congress, about controlling things through manipulation. And these are the rules of the game. The Supreme Court laid down the rules. You can, as you said, you can gerrymander as long as it's political. The legislature has every right to draw the lines however they want to. And they could be really bad lines for the other party, but they're allowed to do it under U.S. Supreme Court precedent.
And it is a state's decision. This is not a federal decision. This is a state's decision. Every state can do whatever it is. What do you think about New York, which is already gerrymandered? What do you think about New York saying, well, if Texas is going to do that, then we're just going to gerrymander even more?
Well, look, they're entitled to do whatever their state constitution, their laws allow them to do. There's always a risk you go too far and you stretch those seats too far. There are Republicans in New York. I know because my family's from there. There are Republicans, and if you draw those seats too tightly, you can end up losing some of those down the road.
I will. I'll tell you that the problem with gerrymandering, in my opinion, and the founders, both Jefferson and I think it was Adams and Jefferson wrote about this, and this is about 1820. So after gerrymandering had started. And they talked about how this was a flaw in the Constitution, that they wish they would have put in what are called stakes, and it comes right from the Old Testament, where, you start with, 500 people, and then that's a square. And then when that becomes, 1,000 people, you cut it in half, and it becomes another square. And so it just, you can't gerrymander. Everything just keeps growing, and you just keep cutting it in squares. Because the problem is, when you gerrymander, all of a sudden your neighbors don't matter. All of a sudden, you might be represented by somebody who's way away from your community instead of somebody who's living right in your community. And the other thing is you no longer care about the middle. You're only playing to the extremes because you've cut everyone else out that would help balance you at all. It's really dangerous. Do you agree with that or not?
No, I absolutely agree with you. It's just that's not the system the founders put in place, and as a result, the Democrats are going to do it. You can sit back and say, well, philosophically, I'm against this, and the Democrats are just going to control the House and the Senate forever because we're against this. You can't let that happen. So,
right.
I agree with you. It's not ideal, but you play by the rules, just like in football. You might not like all the rules, but you play by the rules you got.
Correct. So you're going to decide. I mean, a warrant or warrants have been issued, right? But it's one where they come into the state, and it's not you don't take them to jail. You take them to the House. Correct?
Yes, it's not a prison sentence. I mean, unless you consider being on the Texas House floor, which I often did, a prison sentence. But because if the doors are shut and you're stuck with all those people, sometimes you wish you weren't.
Right.
Yeah, it's just they're once they step into the state, they'll be escorted back to the House, and presumably they'll do what I suggested, and either if they're not going to step, they already know they're going to. If they come back, they're going to stay. So they've made their decision. So. Who knows when that'll be, but I think in the end it won't matter. It will happen the way the Republicans have planned it.
Ken, thank you very much. You're going to be looking into who paid for these flights? It's my understanding that some of them were flying private jets, and I'd like to know who paid for those. That just has to be declared before the next election or at the end of the year.
So during special session, they have to report on their campaign expenditures and their campaign contributions. So that will all be seen by the public within, I think, a month after session, something like that. So the special session lasts 30 days. I forget exactly what day he called it. Sometime I would say sometime in September, we should know that information.
Wow. Thank you so much, Ken. I appreciate it. Keep up the good work.
Absolutely. Have a great day.
God bless.
Bye.
You bet. Bye-bye. So, Stu, I mean, it's nuclear war. It's nuclear war.
It's a very pathetic version of nuclear war where you run away to J.B. Pritzker. I mean, it's not... It's not the day after exactly.
So it's sissy.
Yes.
It's sissy.
It's
nuclear war. It's Democrat nuclear war.
It really is pathetic, right? It's this, you're scampering away to hide behind a very large governor in another state. And we should also highlight why it's Illinois. There's a reason for this, right? Like, you could go, there's an Indian Native American reservation with the world's largest casino, Glenn, right over the border of Texas. They could go there and stay there, and they'd be across state lines. They're in Illinois because,
fundraising.
Right, exactly. They're looking because they want J.B. Pritzker to be their sugar daddy. And they also realize that J.B. Pritzker's likely going to run for president in 2028. These people want to be close to that type of money. He's a billionaire and that type of influence. And so they're going there to sort of scout whatever their next gig is or wherever the next donation is coming from. It's got nothing to do with caring about any of this. Like, of course, they care about the seats. Kennan's right. Like, that's seemingly their most central interest is power, but this works on multiple fronts for their continued power, and this is why they're doing it, even though they know they're going to fail. I mean, there's no way this ends with Texas not having a quorum for the rest of the term. Like, that's not how this ends.
No. And it's what's sad is they're supposed to be talking about property tax relief. That if you really want to help your constituents, you pass that. You change the property tax rules. The property tax in Texas is just like Florida, completely out of control. Completely out of control.
Yeah, I certainly agree with that. But there's also the flood. These flood victims.
Yep.
And it's funny because the way the media is spinning this is that Republicans are stopping it. It's like, wait a minute. The Democrats are in another state. What do you mean Republicans are stopping the funding? They come back and then they can start talking about the funding for, yes, they're going to do the maps. That's going to be part of it. And that's going to happen either way. But this way would also get the money to, the people that need it in these flood zones. That is, and it's fascinating that the Republicans get the blame for that. Just like Israel's getting the blame for the starving hostages now. Where, wait a minute, Hamas is starving the hostages, but it's Israel's fault that they're starving? Like, it's hard to even follow the logic, but that's where we are with the media.
I know. And the other thing is they were getting rid of the STAR tests, which your kids have taken STAR testing, Stu?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't pay attention to them much.
Yeah,
they come and go as they please.
The STAR testing is the state of Texas, the standardized test. And everybody hates it. Teachers hate it. Kids hate it because it's just, you're teaching half of the year just to that test. And it's ridiculous. You got to stop teaching to tests. That's what makes schools so depressing, is you're just memorizing for tests. You're just memorizing. And what is that teaching you? That's not teaching you how to think. That's teaching you what to think and how to answer questions on a test that you've memorized. It's ridiculous. I don't know why we do it, and that's another thing that is on the list. But the Democrats had to get out of town so they could, gosh darn it, so they could stand for their constituents.